It's Thursday, June 26th, 2025, and we've got a bunch of weather to talk about today. Similar to how we've started pretty much every video this week, we're going to start off by looking at the temperature map once again here because our top story is still the dangerous and prolonged heat wave with over 130 million people still currently under heat advisories or warnings of some sort. From the Midwest all the way over to the Mid-Atlantic, we are going to be hot again. Things are going to kind of moderate today in the Mid-Atlantic regions. It's only going to be maybe in the 80s today in New York City. It actually might struggle to breach into the 60s in portions of Massachusetts up there into New England, but it's going to take a little while longer for us to moderate in the Ohio Valley. And if I push this animation forward, you can see that there's another big ridge, another heat wave essentially trying to propagate farther east into the Ohio Valley again. So us over here, we're going to have a harder time getting out of the 90s as we go forward. But the oppressive heat wave, for the most part, should be over today, at least talking about the anomalous situation that we've been dealing with. But it's going to remain very hot and dangerous out there for a lot of people and above average. And those above average temperatures are leading to above average instability rates. And that's why we've got a large marginal risk of severe weather today. Once again, from the deep south over towards the mid-Atlantic, up through the Ohio Valley, up to the upper Midwest, back through the plains, and up here in the Minnesota area, Wisconsin, up into Iowa, we do have a slight risk of severe weather. There's about 2.6 million people in there, and the main threat zone is covering northern Iowa and southern Wisconsin. It puts cities like Madison, Wisconsin and Rochester directly in the path of dangerous storms. Sound familiar? Pretty similar to what we were dealing with yesterday over here. Let's take a look at what the radar could look like as we go into the future. The highest risk for severe weather will be this afternoon into the early evening as the atmosphere reaches its peak instability. Notice how we're going to have somewhat of an MCS or a mesoscale convective system racing through northern portions of Iowa here, potentially around 2 or 3 p.m. And we're going to have some storms out in front of that as well. And that's what I'm watching the closest. Okay, if we're going to have tornadoes today, it's going to happen along this boundary right here, or the warm front that's going to be across Iowa, lifting up into Wisconsin and Minnesota. Any storm that can actually form up today and ride along that boundary will have an enhanced ability to rotate, posing a significant tornado risk. If we actually do see these warm front riders popping up today, we are almost certainly going to see a tornado or two. So unfortunately, that puts it right in the same areas that were hit yesterday by some pretty big storms. So watch out today if you live in La Crosse, Rochester, Owatonna, all the way over there towards Reedsburg and Wisconsin Dells and places like that. And then even, outside of this, there's going to be extended dangers from this part of the line as well, with the lightning, the damaging winds, and the very heavy rain that will be associated with that. But as you can see, the tornado threat will probably be completely subsided by 9 p.m. or so. Storm Prediction Center does have a 5% probability for tornadoes out here. I wouldn't be surprised if this got upgraded. But right now, once again, La Crosse, Waterloo, Rochester, over to Madison, we're expecting storms that could produce few tornadoes, isolated damaging winds, and we're also talking about very large hail. If we get those discrete supercells along the boundary, this storm is very likely going to produce a couple of tornadoes today. On top of the severe weather, we also have a dangerous flash flood threat on our hands in the central plains up into the upper Midwest. A slight risk for excessive rainfall is in effect along a corridor from eastern Kansas all the way up through Iowa into Wisconsin and into the UP of Michigan. The Weather Prediction Center is noting that the moisture in the atmosphere is going to be anywhere from 1.5 to 2 standard deviations above normal. Okay, we've been talking a lot about these PWAT values recently, the precipitable water values. They're out the wazoo, okay? I don't know when the last time we've seen something of this magnitude before. It is really crazy how much moisture is in the air. Saying it's 1.5 to 2 standard deviations above normal is just another way of saying that it's plumb wild, and we're going to have a daggone fire hose out here. Anybody that ends up under training thunderstorms is going to deal with flash flooding, just like we had last night in the Grand Island area. We had a flash flood emergency. Stuff like that's going to be very possible, even in just the slight risk here as we go through the day today and into the day tomorrow. The ground's already saturated. We've got 2 to 4 inches of rain that's fallen over a lot of these places, and there's just more to come. And then looking ahead into Friday, the focus for severe weather actually shifts north into the northern plains, and the headline threat is going to be very large hail. So the main thing that we're worried about here is some big time hail. The slight risk area covers much of the Dakotas, all the way down into Nebraska. This includes cities like Fargo, Bismarck, and Grand Forks. So we are definitely concerned about the potential for damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, but my goodness, is this not the biggest hail setup we've seen in quite some time. Now we're about to dive much deeper into that, but first we have to shout out today's awesome sponsor. Delete Me, your personal data is yours again. Did you know that your personal data is being sold out there right now by these organizations called data brokers? Anyone can buy your personal details, your address, your phone number, even information about your family members. The reality is, when your information is publicly available, especially if they want it, if they know how to look for it, literally anybody can find it. And that opens you up to harassment, identity theft, and a slew of other problems. And that's why I personally use Delete Me. Delete Me's privacy experts remove your data from hundreds of data broker websites all year long. And when I first got my privacy report, I was shocked at how much of my personal information was just sitting out there for anybody to purchase. They found my data on dozens of sites and removed it all. And these removal requests are actually kind of tedious, so you could do this yourself, but they handle it for you. The process is completely hands-free once you sign up. If you're ready to take back control of your privacy, you can get 20% off Delete Me, the consumer plans, whenever you click that link in the top of the description. It's joindeleteme.com/Ryan Hall. And make sure you use the code Ryan Hall at checkout. And once again, you're going to get 20% off. Your privacy is one of your greatest assets. Be sure to protect it. Now, let's get back into the video. And I don't know if we're going to see, like, when I say the biggest hail setup, I'm not talking about like basketball size hail. I'm just talking about like a slam dunk forecast for large hail. We're talking about golf ball size, baseball size, maybe larger than that, but it's almost certain that that's going to be the main mode that we're concerned about here. The timing for this event is going to be Friday afternoon and evening, when the daytime heating will provide the final ingredient for explosive storm development. And the HRRR literally shows bombs going off over here in the Dakotas. Watch this. 6 Central, we're going to have nothing. And then at 8, we're going to have this nuke of a storm over here in North Dakota. And if that actually happens, once again, we're going to have some huge hail here. The combination of strong instability and powerful wind shear is going to lead to very significant hail. If you are anywhere in the risk area, my advice to you would be to get your vehicles under cover, secure any loose objects in your yard, and get ready for a big-time hailstorm. This could even affect places that were hit hard the other day, like Jamestown, Fargo, Grand Forks. You guys know the drill. Big storms on the way once again on Friday into Saturday. Speaking of Saturday, we're putting the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area on alert for significant severe weather, as we've got 5.4 million people under a slight risk for strong storms. The threat zone extends from central Nebraska up into eastern South Dakota, right up into Minnesota and western Wisconsin, squarely centered on a major population area right there around Sioux Falls up into Minneapolis. The main event here is going to be Saturday afternoon and evening, so if you have outdoor plans, you're going to want to keep an eye on the sky. And the science behind this one is plumb wild. This is one of the largest blobs of CAPE I think I've ever seen on the GFS. Okay, this is a convective available potential energy, what we're looking at here Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. And everywhere in the dark red is anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000, maybe even higher joules per kilogram. There's a couple places here that are approaching 5,000 joules per kilogram of convective available potential energy. With that kind of energy, storms are going to be capable of producing large hail, damaging winds, and there's also a real tornado threat here. Initial storms are likely going to be supercells, and we have to really think about the potential for big-time tornadoes, unfortunately, when you've got this much instability. What really has my attention, once again, is the Twin Cities area. With this extreme instability, any storm that develops could become a high-impact summer weather event for the upper Midwest. So think of memorable hailstorms from the past. We could see a mesoscale convective system that turns into a derecho come out of this much instability. We don't know exactly the details yet. Just keep your eyes on the sky in Minneapolis on Saturday. I've got a pretty good feeling that it's going to be a pretty big day. And of course, we're still tracking the tropics. The National Hurricane Center has identified another disturbance down here to the south and west of Mexico and west of Central America, where we've got a 40% chance of formation over the next day or two, 80% chance over the next 7 days, though. So it's a pretty good chance that we're going to have development by late this weekend. And the environmental conditions down here, like the ocean temperatures and the wind shear, are quite favorable for a storm to form. And it looks like it's actually going to be a hurricane. So that's interesting. Here's what that looks like on the GFS. Watch this bad boy right here. Watch how it starts spinning and turning as it goes, once again, riding the southwestern side of Mexico. It looks to me like it would actually be a pretty intense storm, maybe by Tuesday, July 1st. And that's going to likely not impact land. It's going to weaken out out and go out to sea, essentially. But one of the things that it is going to do is it's going to fling a bunch of moisture up into the southwestern United States, into the Rockies, and then eventually into the plains. Just this corridor that has been kind of bombarded by rain here recently, and it's just going to add insult to injury with our flash flooding problem. Just watch how on the top side of that rotating system, it's almost like it's literally throwing Pacific moisture at us here, and that's convecting with the troughs and stuff that come in from Canada. There's nothing really to talk about here with the tropical system other than it might become a pretty strong hurricane that doesn't really affect a whole lot of people outside of its residual effects due to the moisture that it's going to be sending over portions of Mexico and up into the United States. Looking ahead into the future a little bit, the official 3-month forecast for July, August, and September. The dominant theme here is going to be heat. We're going to have above normal temperatures for the entire lower 48 going forward. There is no cool weather patterns in sight. Okay, so the long-term pattern here actually supports the idea that we're going to have frequent and more intense heat waves across the country, and we're going to continue to have an elevated wildfire risk, especially out west. So this is something to keep an eye on. This is something to be mindful of as we go forward all the way through September. Above average. There will be pockets of cooler air here and there, but we're going to have mostly hot weather going forward. And that's all the weather talk I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the YallBot channel as those severe warnings come out today. It'll be relaying them in real time. There is a very slight chance that I go live today. We'll be on standby mode again. So subscribe to this channel as well. Like this video. Huge shout out to our sponsor today, Delete Me. If you haven't clicked that link in the description to go check them out, I highly recommend you do that. We're so happy to have them as a sponsor. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.